Welcome back everyone, I'm OG Cap. With Halloween and the season of horror movies coming, I thought I would delve into the long-standing tradition of a movie franchise that releases this time of year. Saw X is set to be released by Lionsgate. Instead of going through the 9 previous chapters, we will just focus on this newest one coming out. We all know the tried and tested, gory, bloody story of the franchise. So instead of explaining how we got here in detail, I will just have some highlights or lowlights to connect this final film. Or is it? As always, I appreciate you watching this video. Make sure you click on the subscribe button at the bottom right of the screen. If you like what you see, select the like button. If you want more, just ring the bell. I really like your comments, so feel free to leave me some. I thought I would get a little expert help in this genre, so I invited a special guest to join me. The Horror Fiend's Kyle Beaty. Welcome, Kyle.
Hello everyone, I'm your certified horror dad, Kyle Beaty, and I'm taking a break from this busy haunt season to talk about this new installment of the Saw franchise, Saw X, with OG Cap here. So, let's talk about it.
I appreciate taking the time to join me to talk about this new chapter of the Saw franchise. Let's jump right into it and get to the film. Saw X is bringing back Tobin Bell as John Kramer. What do you think about this idea?
A perfect move in my opinion. Look, I don't hate the newer Saw films by any means necessary, but in horror there's always the heart of the franchise, or more so, the face. Whether that be Robert Englund playing Freddy Krueger or Roger L. Jackson voicing Ghostface. There's that symbol that brings audiences to the original film in the first place and causes them to remember it years later. For Saw, that is Tobin Bell, or more so the character of John Kramer. So bringing him back to this franchise is long overdue.
The film explores Kramer's story and takes place between the two movies. It focuses on his search for cancer treatment in Mexico. He travels there hoping for a miraculous cure through an experimental medical procedure. He discovers that the whole operation is a scam. They take advantage of the vulnerable and desperate. With what we already know about Kramer, you can imagine what he will do. What do you expect from him?
I expect him to do, his signature way of dealing with situations. Trapping people in traps, putting them in dire situations, giving them a shocking plot twist, the usual.
Gotcha. Driven by a new purpose, John goes back to his disturbing work as a serial killer. He turns the tables on the con artists behind his medical fraud in his signature visceral way, using devious, deranged, and ingenious traps. Do you think this chapter will meet or exceed the previous film's torture traps, as well as the blood and gore that this franchise is known for?
Well, with that question, I have to look at modern horror. The original Saw films were released in the early 2000s, and although at that time horror has come a long way in terms of special effects and makeup, since, Frankenstein and Dracula, it was still finding its footing. We are now in 2023, and where Saw films are not as, gory or grotesque as some films we have nowadays, with titles such as The Barbarian and these A24 films popping up, those films push those limits even further. With horror constantly growing as time goes on, I expect Saw, in this installment, will want to reiterate that it is the king of body horror than they really have in any other film. I expect them to go further with this one.
This film will be the longest in the franchise. Director Kevin Gruder assures fans that the extended runtime is not due to unnecessary scenes. It is a testament to the well-crafted storytelling and execution of the movie. How do you feel about this extended runtime?
I'm always down with long horror films. With movie theaters offering more options than popcorn and soda nowadays, I have no problem getting some cheeseburgers with my wife and sitting down for a long session with John Kramer. Longer runtimes seem to be slowly becoming a trend within the horror scene, with obviously Scream 6 just coming out being longer, and the rumor of the Five Nights at Freddy's film coming this year being 3 hours.
Gruder promises the fans that there will be many surprises and twists, ensuring an exciting and captivating experience. Let's take a look at some film clips from the movie.
Out of all the men to cheat, you picked John Kramer?
The cancer is still spreading. I'm afraid there's nothing else we can do.
Our program is a two-pronged treatment outside Mexico City.
You're in very good hands with us.
After that, what happens then?
Your whole life happens then. John Kramer.
According to these scans, the tumor was never removed.
How much time do I have?
Months, at best.
I still have a lot of work that needs to be done. Hello, everyone. It's time to play a game. You all pretended to cure me, but what I have planned for each of you is very real.
No light, no sound.
The only thing I have not provided is your anesthetic. But trust me, you will want to remain alert. Place a big enough piece of your cerebral tissue into the glass enzyme tank. This will save your life. This is not retribution. It's a reawakening. Live or die. The choice is yours.
The Saw franchise is another example of a very well-crafted, relatively low-budget movie that's a success. It spawned a series of unnecessary sequels every Halloween to reasonable returns and mostly terrible reviews. One thing that is certain is that when movies have strayed from having Tobin Bell's Kramer as the center of the story, things have definitely headed south. Do you agree with this statement?
Yes and no. Saw was always going to outlive John Kramer. How many times can you keep doing the same thing and expect fans to come back to the movie? This may be a controversial take, but John Kramer needed to die in Saw 3 for the films going forward to be successful. Now, I do agree that the current Saw has veered away from what originally made it special. I do think that the new Jigsaws were necessary for the film's growth and at the time that they were introduced. But now I do think it is far past time to bring the face of the franchise back into the fold.
Okay. If you're a fan of the Saw franchise, this installment is a must-see. If you haven't seen the previous entries, be sure to catch up before this one comes out. Kyle, I want to thank you for participating in this video, and I thank you for your expertise.
Of course, I'm always down to talk about horror in any form. It practically is my whole life and has been for many, many years.
Be sure to visit Kyle's YouTube channel at The Horror Fiends. We need to do this again.
Yes, we do. And if you guys want to find me, I'll probably be marathoning a haunted house at Halloween Horror Nights at Universal Orlando. Other than that, you can find me making content about my niche on my wife and I's channel. Besides that, OG Cap, I will see you in the fog, and I will see you in the morgue.
Alright, make sure you get out to your local theater and see Saw X. See you soon, and let's go to the movies.